It's been 39 years since the last live-action He-Man film. This time it sticks much closer to the cartoon. This is Masters of the Universe.
You know what, I'll be honest, the very first time I saw the trailer for this Masters of the Universe film, I was optimistic, but I really had no expectations out of it. It looked campy, it looked corny, it looked a little rough at times because it was showing a little bit more of the human Adam instead of, the He-Man time. Just probably not to try to give too much away about it. But I have to say, I was really pleasantly surprised about how much fun and enjoyment I got out of this. Of course, we grew up on He-Man. We were really young kids when he first came out. He started as a mini comic book into the toys, and then became, the cartoon series. And then we got the Dolph Lundgren live action film, which I did go back and rewatch, and it's as terrible as I remember. It's still almost a guilty pleasure. It's like so bad, but I still can go back and watch it a little bit. But man, that was rough. I mean, it's been 90% of the movie was on Earth, which I'm glad with this one. We did, start off in Eternia. So you're getting Adam as a young boy, learning that he's a scrawny little kid, and he's the son of the king. He's trying to be trained, but he's just not really into the fighting, and he's just so small. And then Skeletor attacks, and to save Adam and save the sword, the power sword, he's sent into a portal away, not knowing where he's going or anything else, and he's sent to Earth. And so we get a little bit of a time jump after that. It's been about 15 years. You get Adam being an adult working in HR, which it was funny, but I wish they spent a little less time on the HR part just because it got a little cringy with kind of the stuff they went in there. But once it got to Eternia, back to Eternia, it was just a wild, crazy, cheesy, goofy, silly, absolute fun time.
Yeah, I think those adjectives and so many more, right? It was everything I hoped it would be. Like, you have a lot of the silly jokes and stuff like that to try to make it a little bit more of a modern version of how this would actually work. But then once you get back to Eternia, you're just like transported right back into watching the old cartoons, and you get the introduction of all your favorite characters from the He-Man series. For the most part, you get one of my personal favorites at the very end, but you get all of the characters. You get Adam. You get all of his sidekicks. You get like a good chunk of the group here, and it's just fun to see the whole story be told throughout, where Skeletor is successfully taken over Eternia and is basically run it into the ground, as you would figure he would do if he ever gained that power. But you get the whole story of Adam coming into his own as the Prince of Eternia, as the wielder of this magical power sword, and all that comes with it. And it's just so much fun. I'm in the same boat as you. I was originally like cautiously optimistic coming into this. Obviously, there's a really heavy negative stigma around Jared Leto and what he does to franchises, and judging by how this is doing at the box office currently, may still yield some things that are like leaning credit to that. But I thought he was fine as Skeletor. You don't see his face ever. It's just lending his voice to
I
him.
loved him as Skeletor.
I thought he did fine.
He was so much fun to watch. Like, if you didn't know it was him, you wouldn't know it was him. Even though his voice, and I even told you it a few times, he sounded like Stewie from Family Guy a few times, and also sounded like Captain Jack Sparrow. So his voice at times could be all over the place, but I think he did a really perfect kind of goofy, silly Skeletor voice while still trying to be a little bit deeper and menacing and all that. I think he did a fantastic job as Skeletor. Like, I really enjoyed his performance and the look. Like, the skull looked great. It's nothing like the prosthetics that they put on in the 1987 film.
What 40 years will do.
The CGI for him looked really good, although at times his pupils, the red glowing pupils kind of floated away. I don't know if that was purposeful or not, but yeah, I thought he was great as Skeletor.
Yeah, he had all of the silly, goofy, over-the-top, cartoonish villain charm.
When I do that, it means I'm done.
Right. It was very funny in that way, but like, it's just a good overall story. You have, it's not breaking any new ground here. It's chosen prince comes back to save the kingdom story, and they do it pretty well. I mean, there's some really solid performances in here. I really liked Idris Elba as Duncan here, as the Man-at-Arms, and Tila was good in her at as a good character in this as well. Like they do a lot of the heavy lifting throughout the story because it's mostly Adam, Tila, and Duncan for a good chunk of it as far as our heroes go, and it's just so fun the ride that they took us on. It exceeded all the expectations that I had for it. I had an absolute blast. We were laughing. We were having a great time, laughing at some of the cheesiness because it leans into the cheese. Like it doesn't shy away from the fact that we know this property is very memeable. Like you even get the callbacks to the memes, even like it embraces the memes in the movie with the musical choices and everything like that. It definitely is not afraid to kind of poke fun at itself a little bit. And you get that in spades in this. And if you're going in looking for that, guess what? It delivers, and it delivers in a good way that actually works with the story they're trying to tell. They did such a good job. I was very happy with it.
I mean, again, this is a property that really only exists because they were trying to sell the toy.
Sure.
The cartoons, the movies, everything was all about selling toys. 80s and 90s, that was really big. Even one of our favorite franchises, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Exactly.
The animated series and the movies we've gotten were all about selling toys. It wasn't exactly about bringing these characters to life in live action or in cartoon. It was about, all right, if we do a cartoon and you see these characters moving and talking, that's going to sell more toys, and we create new characters in the show that we can then, create. So it's not a property you're exactly looking at that's deep and fantastic. I mean, you did have Kevin Smith bring Masters of the Universe to Netflix, and what was it? It was 2 seasons, but they had 2 different names. A little bit darker, a little bit more serious. There was humor and stuff in it. You had Mark Hamill, Skeletor in that. And that was a really fun take on He-Man that, we have a few that have been done, but since that 87 movie, we've really only had, I think, 3 or 4 different tries at doing Masters of the Universe and He-Man. And I was kind of surprised they wanted to go back to live action. This took a long time to get to live action. Sure. It bounced around between studios for many, many years. It took a while until it landed at MGM, which was fun because you got Battle Cat replacing the lion in the beginning and stuff. But yeah, this was the cartoon brought to life.
Sure.
This is what they were not trying to tell a serious tale of He-Man. They were not trying to make it a dark, emotional this was to embrace the memes, to embrace the cartoons, to embrace the silliness that is He-Man. His name is He-Man. Like, what are you going to expect from it? And I got exactly what I wanted out of it. It was fun, it was silly, it was goofy, it was campy, it was corny, but it had some great action sequences. The costuming looked great for the most part. Some of the creatures, a few of them looked a little off, but overall they did a fantastic job of bringing kind of every element of this universe together. Like, this is a love letter to the fans of He-Man and Masters of the Universe. And you even get him wearing the pink shirt and everything that he wore in the cartoon series. And you get some jokes at his physique and stuff. And I've already seen people being a little critical of Nicholas because he wasn't, He-Man is absurdly, gigantically built.
Sure.
He was in shape. Like, he is very muscle bound, abs. He looked great, but a lot of people are expecting gigantic guy, and you're only getting that unless he starts doing PEDs or they put a muscle suit on that. It's very hard for someone to naturally be able to build up a physique like He-Man has.
Yes.
And they tried to hide that when he was Adam because making the shirts a little bit baggier so you're not exactly seeing his physique until he turns into He-Man and stuff. And I think they did a fine job of separating Adam from the He-Man persona. You got to see him being a little bit more bumbling and foolish. Just kind of the Clark Kent to Superman, and that's kind of what they went with here, is that you get Clark Kent who's, at least Christopher Reeves, he's slouching down more, he's holding his body differently, and you could see Nicholas was doing that. He's holding his body a little differently when he's Adam, and he's slouching a little bit more, and the clothes are bag, and then when he's He-Man, he's standing tall, and you can see just the strength and everything to it. But yeah, this was directed by Travis Knight, who's done quite a few big action movies and other things here. I think he did a fantastic job bringing this world to life. Even like, Castle Grayskull, we all loved it as a kid and loved the look of it, and it looks so cool, and they're getting the toys of it, and they have a popcorn bucket of it here for this one. It's a ridiculous looking castle.
Sure.
And they did not try to create it better or bigger or try to make the skull a little more like hidden to where it's, it's just right there in your face the whole time. They didn't shy away from any of the ridiculousness. Even like got Mechanic in there who's fully doing his neck attacks, and you do have a lot of sexual innuendo in this. So
there's a ton.
It's fun for kids, but you do have to look out for a few moments of that sexual innuendo. Like more of the adults are going to get it, but if kids, it's not that subtle that kids won't catch on. But there was a lot of sexual innuendo in this.
They weren't afraid to go there with the humor, for sure. Mm-hmm. It was like, okay, we know the target demo for this isn't necessarily going to be originally like straightforward towards like a younger audience. This is made for the people who grew up on He-Man and talking about the old heads like you and I. But like it's definitely a love letter to us, like those that love the show, because they, like you said, they didn't shy away from any of the stuff that made it as fun as it was growing up. Like they kept all the visual stuff true to form. You get the humor, you get it even like smartly written for modern day humor, really. Like it's not afraid to kind of poke fun at itself with some of the modern stuff as well. Like, jokingly looking at him when he calls himself He-Man, we're like, oh, it's a bit on the nose, isn't it? Like, it's just, you can't come up with any creative names or anything.
It's a manly
it's
name.
Fisto, or just like, yeah.
And I love the explanation of how they have their names is, not to give too much away, but he was a 10-year-old boy when he got sent away, and he's trying to remember and keep Eternia in his heart and his mind. So he's drawing pictures of everyone he knows, but being a young kid, you're not going to remember everybody's name. So he's giving everybody their, names, and also creating one for himself because, he wants to be something bigger and better than he was, because he feels like he's just let everything down being such a weakling. And that was just a fun way to include the ridiculous names that these characters have by being named by a 10-year-old boy.
Because it very much feels like they were. Like, when you come up with these characters' actual names, it's like, yeah, it sounds like a young boy would have come up with these nicknames for these characters. And it's just so funny, but it's smart. It's the whole smart part about how it was written, and I love that because it's got some very funny moments in it. One of my favorite lines in it is when he first transforms into He-Man and he loses his clothes, and he's just like, "I get those. Like, what happened to those? Do I get those back?" It's just so funny. Like, you kind of poke fun at the whole transformation and everything. Like
that whole Incredible Hulk transformation. Right. Like, what happens to his clothes?
Right.
Can they stretch, or really what happens?
Like
what
there? Actually happened? You see him ripping away, but you come back when he's back, and he's like, "It's whatever." Like you just kind of.
It was that kind of ridiculous transformation. I'm glad they kind of went in there. Like, I've got the loincloth and everything now, but where are my regular clothes?
Right, like it's like I'm stuck like this, am I? When I shrink, when I shrink back, we'll see. But it was very funny. I love all the beats with this. The story was really solid. Visually, it was stunning. Like it was put together very well. Eternia looks like an amazing kingdom, and you only get to explore just a little teeny tiny bit of it. I mean, I love the action sequences, especially like the ship chases and everything like that they did. Gets you out into Eternia a little bit more, and you get to kind of see everything. But I'm hopeful if they get to go back and do another one, which, spoiler, they're trying to make everything a franchise now. Like, it does set up for future trysts into Eternia and things that are going on, and hopefully we'll get to explore more of the planet that, if you're a longtime watcher of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, there's so much more to Eternia than what you see in the film. So hopefully you get to explore more parts of it and more people come around. Obviously we get a tease for another very major character at the end that didn't get to appear in the film, but they're very much teased for the follow-on, which I was very excited to see. But yeah, it leaves it in a good place where you can move forward and hopefully tell another fun story. But I think they did it smartly where it feels like it could have set up something else, but it also leaves it in a good place where if you don't come back to it, it's okay.
Yeah.
In my opinion, which I think is very smart, because how often have we come on here and we've talked about, it's so frustrating that it leaves the door open for something that they're never going to get the chance to explore. Well, you kind of leave it on a note where if this movie doesn't do as well financially and they're not willing to give it another film, you're okay with it because of where they leave off at the end of the story. So very well done on them for getting it where they got it and where they end off with it, but definitely sets up things for the future. And I'm hopeful it does well. Like, I know it's going up against another movie we're reviewing this week that seems to be doing a little bit better box office wise than it, but I hope in the long run, a word of mouth on this movie spreads a little bit and more people give it a chance in the theater to see it.
Oh, this is so much worth going to the theater to watch and see because it's bright, it's colorful, it's loud, the music is great.
Awesome.
And here it's very much a kind of James Gunn type of soundtrack. You just feel that the music is very playful with the songs that they're doing. As you mentioned, they go into the memes, so you get some of the meme songs and stuff in there. And yeah, it as you said, it sets up for more. There's 3 post-credit scenes, so make sure you stay to the very, very end because you have an opening, a mid, and an end credit scene with it. And it all is fun, but also sets up for more in Eternia with Masters of the Universe. But yeah, it also felt like if this is the only one we got, this is just such a big, bright, colorful, lovable love letter to the cartoon that everyone grew up. This is a love letter to the people who grew up with He-Man. I'm curious to see how it resonates more with those who maybe don't know as much about He-Man. Took my oldest daughter with us. She absolutely loved it and had fun. She had no real idea of He-Man because I hadn't shown her anything. That wasn't a franchise that I really set up to try to show to my kids. They've already seen Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and some of the X-Men animated series and some other stuff, but He-Man wasn't one that I enjoyed as a kid, but it wasn't one that I set up like, I'm going to show my kids this. And I'm glad I took her because she had such a good time with it. So it does feel like it is going to work for those who were around and watched the original and had the toys and then saw the animated series and stuff. And then those who were newer to it and who were younger. It feels like it has enough humor and action and style to it that it should work for any generation to watch this. Like, this is one you definitely need to give a try to, even if you were maybe a little iffy about it because it looks too corny and cheesy. It is corny and cheesy, and that's the point. It's supposed to be ludicrous and ridiculous and over the top. You have a talking green tiger. You have a guy who stretches his neck. You have Moss Man. You have Goat Man. You have so many just weird, quirky, strange characters. It's supposed to be a ridiculous, over-the-top science fiction fantasy film that I think they nailed just about every aspect of it. The only thing that I had some slight issue with was Evelyn because I didn't feel like they did enough with her. Like, she just came in and did a couple lines and she'd walk out. Do a couple lines and walk out. And I think she was a little flat with the character building. So hopefully maybe if they do another one, you get to see more of the puppeteering and her working behind the scenes of manipulating Skeletor and manipulating things. As you got a little taste of her manipulation and everything else, but I just feel like they were a bit under on what they could have done on Evelyn.
Sure. I mean, she was definitely probably out of everything that was super over the top about this movie, she was definitely the most over the top character in this, in the way that she spoke and the way that she carried herself. I love Alison Brie anyway. Like, she's a great actress, and I love pretty much everything she's been in.
Even though she looked like Kristen Wiig in that get-up, even though Kristen Wiig was in the movie.
Voice of the robot, it was very funny. She definitely channeled her inner Kristen Wiig for this, but she was very over the top, and you can kind of see, especially with one of the post-credit scenes, where she may play a little bit more of an integral role in the next one, just to kind of see it, and that's a little teaser for anybody who's still on the fence to go see it, but. Yeah, it's just, I love it. And I'm glad you mentioned the James Gunn-esqueness of it, because one of the things I did want to compare it to, it had very much a feel of a Guardians of the Galaxy in the style, the presentation. I don't think it has all of the same heart that Guardians of the Galaxy did necessarily, but a lot of that colorful, fun, we're just going to have a good time at this movie kind of feel.
Even the main ship kind of looked like the Milano.
Yes, it did. It looked a lot like it. And that was that was in the back of my mind as I was watching this entire thing. I was like, if you didn't know any better, you would have thought this was a James Gunn movie with the way Travis Knight shot it, which is brilliant because James Gunn's a fantastic director and everything. Like, he had such a big hit with Guardians, but it's very Guardians coded. So if you're still on the fence but you're a fan of Guardians, we think you'll get a lot of enjoyment out of this as well because it is very Guardians-esque in its presentation. So a ton of fun there too.
Yeah, and like going back to Skeletor, I feel like they just handled him so well because, and I love how they marketed the film with Skeletor because you saw the clips of Skeletor and everything else, and you're getting the menacing on the darker side. You think, all right, they're doing a more serious take on Skeletor and stuff. And then when you finally get in the film and you get the first ridiculous moment of where he's doing the crescendo and he's just going on this big rant and no one's reacting, and you get, all right, we're getting the goofy, silly, over the top Skeletor.
Knew it was coming.
Yeah, like Jared Leto gave a lot into that performance of just being silly and goofy. You get to hear him call He-Man a name that I didn't expect to hear come out of Skeletor's mouth, because as we said, innuendo and a little bit more adult humor in it. There was a lot of fun to be had with Skeletor, and I think just visually, like, to go back, he just looked incredible. Like, he looked menacing. He looked like, a lot of it's CGI, but it's trying to tell what CGI and what was actually like Jared Leto in a costume. And I know there's tales of Jared Leto being a little crazy on set, like white blood or what looked like blood on his face, and was very critical of his own performance. So we'll see if he even returns as Skeletor if another one gets made, because, he's outside of his personal life and issues there. We all know he's a little eccentric with stuff.
Sure.
And how he does things. But I do kind of hope he does, because you want that consistency, but it'll be interesting to see if they do maybe change the voice up. If he does leave, maybe they'll have a storyline where he does get a little more high pitched, like the cartoon and other, versions of it. Bring Mark Hamill in, have someone else be the body and let Mark Hamill be the voice and bring him to live action. It'll be curious to see what they do with that, but I want to see another one. This is one, when I left the theater, I'm like, I'm going to watch this several times.
Yeah, same.
This is something I can just, if I'm having a bad day, this is overall a film that I can put on and just laugh and smile and feel like a kid again. Like, this brought me back to Saturday morning cartoons.
Yes.
This made me feel like a kid just sitting in front of my TV on Saturday mornings watching the cartoon in live action, and that's such a beautiful tribute to it all. Like, you could have gone dark and serious. You could have tried to turn them into something else or different, but you embrace the goofiness, the silliness, the cheesiness, the corniness, and I loved it.
Yeah, it's meant to go and have a good time, and a good time was had. Like, it checked every box of what I wanted out of a He-Man movie. I couldn't have asked for much more. I mean, I really couldn't have, because it was so fun to see that brought and done so well in a live action. Because like you said, we've gotten the bad Dolph Lundgren live actions. The cartoons have always been good, in my opinion, consistently good. Even the Kevin Smith stuff is really, really good. I loved it when it came out. Yep. I was watching those day one when they dropped on Netflix. Like, I love being in this world and being, seeing everything that goes on in it, because it is over the top and fantastical. It's just some fun science fiction, and it's done really well here. And I have to tip my hat to them, because what you would think wouldn't work in 2026 like this, it works. Like, it's fun. I wish people would give it a chance. And I really, if I could give people one message about like how to feel about this movie, is a lot of people have that negative connotation around Jared Leto in particular. If you go in, don't even think about Jared Leto.
Just forget he's in the movie.
Forget he's in the movie, because you don't physically see his face. And his voice is changed up enough to where if I didn't know going in it was Jared Leto doing the voice of Skeletor, I wouldn't know it was Jared Leto, because he doesn't sound like himself in the movie. And if you can turn that part off and enjoy the movie, you're going to have a great time. Our theater was buzzing with this movie. Like, it was our showing was thankfully pretty packed, which isn't showing to be the case yet for a lot of theaters that we're seeing, at least based on initial projections. But everyone that we know saw it had a great time. So I'm hoping this is another one of those. I hate to compare it to a movie like Obsession, who's got just the most ridiculous word of mouth, like, success of any movie we've seen in decades. I really hope the word of mouth spreads positively about this movie, that people are willing to give it a chance to go see it, especially in the theater, because I want them to go and tell more stories in this world. And the only way it's going to is if people go out and support it, because if it tanks and loses a bunch of money, we'll never see another one of these again. And I really hope that's not the case because it's just such a good time.
Or they'll maybe reboot it in a different way. Because, I mean, the Netflix series was successful for them. I think there was a few on Netflix. There's one that I didn't. I think it was the one before Kevin Smith's Master of the Universe. I never watched that one, which did have a much larger, bigger He-Man in that one. That's one I want to go back and watch, but I haven't seen yet. But yeah, this deserves to be seen, and it is weird to see where the movie world is right now, because you have Obsession and Backrooms, YouTubers making movies doing so well. You even got the Digital Circus when we went to see He-Man. That beat He-Man in Thursday previews and beat Scary Movie in previews, and that's the finale of a digital series that I had never really known about until this came up. That was something I had never seen, and we saw crowds of teenagers and kids going in to watch that finale. So it's doing gangbusters. So you've got these really small $1 million under budget or 10 million and under budget movies are doing outstanding, and Mandalorian Grogu is struggling, and you've got, so far Masters of the Universe looks like it's struggling. And I hope, as you said, that people go to the theaters and watch this, because we want more of it. It's fun. It's a blast in the theaters. This is one, because if you've watched us at all, we can be harsh and critical on plot being thin or bad or not moving things. I never worried or cared about the plot for 1 second in this film. I think it did more than enough to carry it through the film, but I didn't really care about the plot. I was just, all right, there's that guy, there's this woman, there's back in Eternia, we got the power sword, he's trying, I was just enjoying watching the insanity that is He-Man. It combines so many different things, because as you said, it's sci-fi, borrows a little bit from Star Wars and Flash Gordon and a few other things like that, but you also get the wizards and fantasy.
It's a hero story.
At night aspect of it. So you've got so many different aspects that are combined into this, and they just handled it so well. And the post-credit scenes are going to make it even more crazy, because you've got two fan favorite characters that show up in the post-credit scenes. It's overall almost every aspect of this film was just so enjoyable. Like I said, the only critique I really had, other than the HR stuff being a little cringy, I get what they were doing, but they went a little too hard into it. They could have buttoned that up a little bit. And Evelyn, I just wanted to see a little bit more out of her. I like Allison. I wanted to see her be able to take that role and do something with it, but they didn't leave her a whole lot to do other than being the right hand of Skeletor.
I love that your 2 points about it are diametrically opposed on the other ends of what you would normally want. It was okay, one side of it, you're okay, they did too much here, but over here they did not enough. Just kind of find the balance, because we haven't talked about it, but it is almost a 2.5-hour movie. It's well over 2 hours. It's almost 2.5 hours total runtime from start to finish. So it is a little bit longer of a movie, but I never even cared about it. I went in and I was literally I sat down and I'm like, please, for the love of God, entertain me. And I got entertainment the entire time. Wasn't worried about wasn't even thinking about, we got this much time left in the movie. Never crossed my mind. It is plot wise your basic hero story. You get, tragedy happens. Kid grows up, discovers the power that he has to, help save the day. And then, spoiler alert, he saves the day. I don't think we're spoiling anything too heavy there, but it's your classic hero story, which if done efficiently and correctly is a solid enough plot to where you can add the entertainment and the the extra sauce, as we like to say, put a little more sauce on it and make it an entertaining film. And they did that. It's check, and check. Cohesive story, check. Visuals done well, check. Audio done well, check. Good action, good humor, check. It checks so many boxes for me that the plot didn't have to be super deep because it was so entertaining. It does kind of contradict some of the other stuff, but going into it, it's a He-Man movie. It's going to, for the love of God, entertain me, make me laugh, and have me buzzing about it when I walk out. And it was very successful in that.
Yeah, so in the end, Masters of the Universe was a highly successful film. The 87 film had its problems. It went away and tried to almost be serious in the 1980s serious way. It was still goofy and silly at times, but this embraces the corniness, the cheesiness, the over-the-top ridiculousness that was the cartoon and toys and comic. And it's really a love letter to those who grew up with He-Man. It is so much fun. It's bright. It's colorful. It's got great sound. It feels like a Guardians of the Galaxy movie with how they incorporate the music and the feel of it. And that's a good thing. Like, it does almost everything well. It has a few problems and issues overall, but the biggest thing is, if someone who enjoys He-Man and loved He-Man as a kid, I felt like I was back as a kid watching Saturday morning cartoon, but as a live action film. And that's just a tremendous thing to do. It was really fun, enjoyable. I had a great time. I was entertained from the beginning to end. I'm going to give this an 8 in the end. Like, it has some problems and issues, but overall I didn't care because it entertained me. I had so much fun. I was laughing. I was enjoying the action sequences. Jared Leto was great as Skeletor. You had Nicholas was great as Adam and He-Man. Like, everyone played their roles extremely well, and it was just fun. It was so much fun.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go even higher on that. I'm giving it an 8.5 just because high rewatchability for me. Yeah. It was so fun. I'm going to watch this several times. I cannot wait for this to get out on streaming to watch it again. And it was such a good time. I loved everything about it. It was super highly entertaining. Some parts did need a little bit buttoning up time-wise, so it knocks it down a little bit for me. But overall, just such a blast. Like, it's far from the best. Is it the best movie I've ever seen in my life? No, but it's still a really good, fun, entertaining time at the box office that, unfortunately, it feels like it's going to be kind of sandwiched in between so many other, like, big-time things because you've got such a huge buzz with Obsession right now that is becoming an obsession for many people. Like, it's doing gangbusters at the box office, right? And then you have, a very heavy slate of properties coming in behind it. And, we've talked about, like, how people have been super selective of what they're going to see, and not everything is, people aren't venturing out as much to go see multiple movies, like, they're picking and choosing. Obviously, you've got the big juggernaut that's Toy Story coming up in a couple weeks. It's going to make probably $1 billion, and I'm excited to go watch it.
Got a Spielberg film this next week.
You got Spielberg coming out next week. I mean, you got Marvel coming up next month with Spider-Man, The Odyssey, which is ours. Yeah, Supergirl coming up this month too. Packed. Like, you keep hearing all the movies we're rattling off. Like, we know budgets are tight for everybody, but if you're into, like, this type of science fiction and these types of stories, give it a chance. That's all I ask. Go see it in the theater. Go check it out. Give it a chance. It's in theaters now. Get in before it gets overtaken by all of these other giant properties that are coming in behind it, because, like we said, we want this property to go further. We want them to tell more stories because it was so well done. And for them to get that chance, it has to get support from everybody. And hopefully, us giving good word of mouth and other people talking about how much they enjoyed it, like, hopefully that generates a little bit more of a buzz to where it has a little bit more sustained success, and they're like, okay, maybe we're willing to give it more of a chance. And we hope that's the case for this one.
Yeah, it deserves to be seen. It deserves to be seen on the big screen. It is just something you can go and have an absolute blast in the theater watching it. If you've got, like, the motion seats at your theater, it probably would be a lot of fun. We didn't do it for this one, but it could be a lot of fun with it. Just go and see this film because it's fun. It's something that's just, you can smile, you can laugh, you can poke fun at the ridiculous of it, but that's the point. It's supposed to be ridiculous, cheesy, and everything else. But Masters of the Universe is in theaters right now. Go check it out and come talk to us, because we can't stop joking about it and talking about it because we just enjoyed it so much. It was just pure fun entertainment that is just so worth going to watch in the theaters. So thank you so much for tuning in, and if you feel so inclined, do all the things to help the show out, from follows, shares, likes, and comments on social media to subscribing on YouTube and your favorite audio platforms. All of it helps us out so much, and we can't thank you enough for all the support.
You can also become a subscriber over on Patreon to get each episode delivered to you early, exclusive merch items, and your name read out at the end of every episode. Check it out at patreon.com/we'll bring the popcorn.
That's going to do it for this episode, and we'll see you on the next one.